This is Journal TV, and I'm Jerry Clark. I had planned on having a very detailed introduction for the man next to me, but then I realized that's kind of silly because everybody knows him. He's Attorney Bill Wilson from Covington, Virginia. But I'm going to have to do it over. You're from Bath County, technically, aren't you?
No, I'm from Alleghany County, and some people think I'm from Bath County, but we are 3 miles from the North Allegheny line, so I'm in Alleghany County.
And you have had a long record as an attorney. You're on the Dabney Educational Foundation board and probably 5 or 10 other boards. You're a former House of Delegates member.
You got it. I think you've hit some of it.
Some of it. Well, welcome, Bill. Folks in Alleghany County have been talking about the Route 220 Widening and Improvement Project for more than 5 decades. How were you able to get this back on the agenda?
I have an old friend named Lacey Putney. He was in the House of Delegates longer than anybody else, I think over 50 years, and he was chairman of the Appropriations Committee, and he also, because of the way the election process worked, became the representative of Alleghany County. So I asked him if he would host a meeting where we would all be as a Alleghany Highlands delegation, which would be the governing bodies and Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corporation. And we were going to invite the Secretary of Transportation, whose name was Connaughton. So we all met at the community college, and the muscle in the room was Delegate Lacey Putney. And because
long-term friend of yours.
Long-term friend of mine, and he got them focused, and it was a focus that should have been made 30 years ago. We had it on schedule. We had a 4-lane divided highway headed our way. It stopped in Eagle Rock, and nowadays people don't quite understand why it stopped, but it did stop. A lot of politics involved in it, some money shortage involved in it, but it stopped. And my job was to try to be the catalyst to get them all back together. And I've been kind of a self-appointed leader in this thing. There are other leaders, and they do it better than I do, but I just try to keep them focused on what we're doing. So we're where we are today because we're all working together.
And we're talking about tens of millions of dollars. So after this hard work and getting it back on the agenda, what are your understandings of the first phase of the current construction?
The first phase is supposed to be from, I think it's Route 722, which is north of Kelly's Market, through those dangerous narrow curves where there have been any number of accidents, several deaths, I think, and that's the worst section of the road. So the idea is to straighten that road. It's going to be, they call it a super 2-lane road, so it'll have a lot of safety features, but it's designed to make it a much better, safer road.
And the safety features including widening the bridges and other larger lanes to the sides of the...
There are 4 wicket bridges. As a matter of fact, there's a good story. We had a delegation on the bus. It was a VDOT bus, and we were telling them about how dangerous the highway was. And we rode up to Cliftondale Park, turned around and headed back, and we met a tractor trailer in the first most dangerous bridge. And everybody on the bus just sucked air. They said, "Oh!" And we made our point there about it.
Wow.
They said I arranged that, but I didn't.
Well, what additional action do you believe is necessary to keep this ball rolling and to get the 220 project at its maximum pitch?
Well, the main thing, and this has been lacking to one degree or another for years, is to keep our Alleghany Highlands people together. And to have that group, which is the governing bodies, Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Corporation.
There's some encouraging signs
There's
already.
Some really encouraging signs, and over the years, people would say we don't work together. Well, on this issue, we work together, and I think we've got the ball rolling. And I'd like to give some encouraging news to the viewing public that I think we're on the road, number one, to getting this Super 2 lane under construction. There's already construction, I think you know that, down near Eagle Rock, and they're tearing up some ground there. They're bypassing those two of the 4 dangerous bridges, and so that's really encouraging. I love to see the dirt fly, so we've got that going. And then I think it's key that we continue to work with Botetourt County, because almost the entire project is in Botetourt County. And that's been the problem over the years, because the Salem Highway District goes up to Iron Gate. That's all Salem. That's where the project is. But the people from VDOT don't spend a lot of time in the Alleghany Highlands. The Alleghany Highlands is in the Stanton Highway Department. And so
Dividing line's right
the
there
dividing
at
line
the
is right
county
there, so
line.
it's been a real practical problem. But I think we understand that better now, and I think everybody's trying to keep the ball in play.
Well, thanks to this individual's leadership, tens of millions of dollars have been promised to fix part of Route 220. There are many more millions will be needed, but we really do thank you for taking the time to come in and talk with us today, Bill.
I'm happy to do it. Anytime you want to talk about US 220 between Eagle Rock and I-64, you call me. I'll be here.
The problem with this is, for people who haven't lived here in the last decade or two, this problem has actually been going on about 5 decades, these kinds of discussions. So getting promises from the government, the governor, the various VDOT resident engineers and other officials, that's quite a job. And without Mr. Wilson here, I think this ball would have been dropped a long time ago. So thanks very much, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.